to the show. It's time to bring in our front office analyst, Scott Pioli.
What up, Scott?
Scott, you have had many different backdrops behind you recently, and now you look like you are back to the comforts of your home.
Yes, finally home. Thank goodness, Jamie. It's good to be back home.
Well, we all know that people appreciate you when you show up on the scene. We do, too, because then you get firsthand look at players and organizations and coaches. Let's go to Chicago this past weekend. You were there, up close and personal. We can't get enough of Caleb Williams and what people, the eye test, what people see from him. How do you characterize how his preseason is going?
Jamie, the word I would use is encouraging and improvement. So he's what we've seen from him is steady improvement every single week in the games. He's learning from some of the mistakes that he's making. He's getting better on his details. You know, the other thing I'm seeing is he's getting better with his chemistry along with the skilled players and the rest of his teammates. The big thing that I've seen, though, I think, is his ability to process what he's seeing. That has certainly improved each week. But one other little detail that I really like to see and that I heard a little bit about while I was out there is that he's getting better in understanding the running game. And this is something that isn't often talked about with young quarterbacks. They come into the NFL, they know the passing game, they know a lot about the passing game, but they don't fully understand the running game or the importance of the running game and when they see certain looks, when they need to check out. So again, to me, what I see in terms of talking about Caleb Williams is just so much encouraging work that he's been doing over the course of these couple of preseason games.
We'd love to hear it. Tell us more, Scott. You've seen so many rookie quarterbacks come in. You've seen #1 overall picks. You've seen Heisman. You've seen it all.
Yeah.
Another guy who will likely have a very successful career or something special. Tell us more.
Yeah, I think what I saw, Kyle, in being able to see practice for a couple of days before the preseason game, I saw them do the full scrimmage with the Bengals. It was the on-field communication and coming off the field with Shane Waldron when they were working the 2-minute drill. His professional maturity was just so impressive. But as we're seeing here, one of the things that we're seeing on tape here is him moving in and out of the pocket with both hands on the football. And people want to talk about the throws and all the special things he's doing athletically. That's very, very important. But if you remember, one of the things with Caleb that was an issue coming out was the details of his ball security. He had a lot of fumbles, a lot of turnovers last year when moving up in the pocket. So as you can see in a lot of these clips, he is climbing the pocket with both hands on the ball, securing the ball, which is a detail that Shane Waldron and the coaches are working on in pre-practice and also during the scrimmages and everything that's going on. They're always on him about the details. So again, it's not just about the throws he makes in his athleticism, it's the details and securing the football.
All right, Scott, so, let's stay in the NFC. This quarterback is not getting a lot of hype, but Dan Quinn named Jayden Daniels the Commander's starter. You worked with Jayden the last 2 years. What do you think of this decision?
Akbar, I'm totally fine with this decision because if we go back and look, he's going to be 24 years old this NFL season. But he's also had 5 years as a starter in college, 3 at Arizona State. Sure, there was this, the shortened season with COVID, but he has had a lot of reps. He's had him, again, 3 years at Arizona State, 2 years in the SEC. What I've seen with Jayden during the time at LSU and in training camp when I was down there this year, he has a rare maturity, intelligence, work ethic, and work habits. And while I was down there, you could see those things in practice. You could see him getting better. Again, he has improved so significantly during those last 2 years at LSU. As you watch the arc of his improvement, it has just continued. And I'll say this about Dan Quinn. I worked with him in Atlanta. Dan is never going to put a football player out there, including his quarterback, that isn't ready, that he doesn't think can win him games or can't protect himself. So I'm totally on with this, and I can't wait to see Jayden play because he's absolutely one of my favorite players in the league right now.
Scott, this is a true story. On August 4th, this is my phone. This is the Notes app of my phone.
What do you got?
I have something that I wrote to myself. I'm sitting in the makeup chair before the show, and it says, Ian and Pioli with Jacoby Brissett on wanting to win the starting job. I'm just writing this because it's airing, and I thought it was very interesting. Brissett says, I am the perfect mentor, but I'm also the perfect player for the starting job. I don't take that lightly. And then I wrote, remember this if Jacoby beats out Drake May to start the season. We still don't know the answer to this question, Scott. That was on August 4th. How do you assess what is happening with the quarterback position in New England right now?
Jamie, I love that you wrote that note because I have it sitting here in front of me, my notes. Now I don't have to look down. But when Jacoby said that in that interview, it was perfect because it describes Jacoby. You know, I've known Jacoby forever, since he entered the league. And as a matter of fact, my father-in-law is one of his mentors since he was in middle school. The thing about Jacoby, what he was saying there was, I can be both things. You can be a competitor. You can compete. You can do all of those things with a player, but also be their mentor. And this is one of the things that I think is so underrated about Jacoby and players like him. In this game, you need selfless players that are not only going to compete for jobs, but teach the future. Teach players that are younger than them that are competing for their jobs and really mentor them, so knowing that that's going to be their true legacy. So when Jacoby said that, he says, hey, I'm the perfect guy, as you just mentioned, because I'm going to compete. I'm going to show my teammates I'm competing, but I'm not giving this up. He has a personal core value that I think is one of the most important and uncommon traits of a player in the National Football League, and that is being a selfless leader. I'm so glad that you brought that up, Jamie, because that's where I wanted to head. I'm not surprised he said it. He is going to compete. And again, in this league and in life, you can be both things. You can be a competitor and a mentor.
Scott, I'm sorry, did I catch your father-in-law was his mentor since middle school? I need to know the middle school, and I need to know how this connection and how that developed.
So Parcells lives down in Florida, and he was close friends with his high school coach, a gentleman by the name of Jack Daniels at Dwyer High School down in Florida. And Parcells was very close with Jack Daniels. Not the Jack Daniels that I knew in college, but the Jack Daniels that actually coached high school football. And so Parcells got to know him, and he's actually not only been a life mentor, but been a financial advisor of sorts, just helping Jacoby grow up and understand what his future is going to be, and they're still like this.
You think Drake May wins that? I'm just ask you straight up. You think Drake May wins that competition? Keep it 100.
I don't know if he does, because I know, and it's not a matter of just winning the job, but I think it's also a matter of, can he run the offense, and can he be ready and have the offensive line? Because let's remember, this offensive line, part of what it's going to take is not just the skill, which is somewhat limited right now, but it's also going to take play calling and adjusting and checking at the line of scrimmage. Is Drake ready to do all of that, meaning the mental part in the moment? I don't know. So it's not always physical. I think it also has something to do with the mental part that we don't know and we don't see. Only the coaches can evaluate. But I think that there's a chance. I think we're going to see both quarterbacks at different points this season, truthfully.
All right, Scott, and that coming from you, that's good to know that there might be balance there. Always a fun exercise, forcing Scott to say my father-in-law, and then say, sorry, you mentioned your father-in-law. You spilled Parcells, everybody. Okay,
I want to hear
Scott
more about head coach Jack Daniels. Who was the offensive coordinator? Johnny Walker, Scott? Come on. What a staff. There's Jim Beam on special teams, boys. That's great. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Jose Cuervo does the defense.
Scott.
Forget about the pet, Grey Goose.
Scott, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week. We appreciate you.